Hi, this is so weird because this is going to be my first video doing this, but let's get this started. Hi, my name is Cherry Blossom TV, also known as Sakura Studios online. I currently have a webtoon going on. It's called Tulips and Lilies. It's basically a comic about a young teenage girl who finds herself in a predicament with a guy at a coffee shop that she works at, and unfortunately she finds out that that guy is going to be her boss. So anyway, as the title reads, 5 years doing comics and I feel like I have nothing to show for it. This topic is a little bit difficult because I know that a lot of people are going to look at my comic and so far of what I've achieved and think, wow, that's great, you're doing great. And while I do partially agree, I feel as though, I've been doing Tulips and Lilies for 5 years now. And there's not really any progression as far as the story. I mean, I've added a bunch of things, but it's not really like where I would want it to be as far as with the comic. And like, I'm giving myself a little bit of grace because I have work and, when I first started Tulips and Lilies back in 2019, I was in school and, just dealing with that. And then COVID happened. And so, I had to put TNL on the back burner to try to make money because, everybody was basically out of a job, depending on what job you were working at. But I started posting TNL in 2019, and I had decided halfway through, I believe 2 years into Tulips and Lilies, I decided to redo my comic because I felt as though it was not where I wanted it to be. Actually, funny story, I actually restarted Tulips and Lilies twice. I restarted Tulips and Lilies, I think about 2 months into the comic. The reason why is because sorry, I have no script with this stuff, so this is basically just me rambling, but I did not have a script, and I was one of those people that, especially like in school, I was like, okay, I'm not going to follow the rules, or I'm not going to pay heavily attention to something because I feel like I could just do it based off of my head. And I was very, very wrong. I promise you I was very wrong. There was no direction with where the story was going. I knew where I generally wanted to go, but I didn't have an actually written script. So there was a lot of things that I was forgetting, a lot of character ideas, character personalities that I was forgetting and things like that. So I decided to restart Tulips and Lilies the first time. And I wrote a script and I made sure that I had character reference sheets and things like that, just so that I can make sure that the series was more consistent and things of that sort. But I restarted Tulips and Lilies again 2 years later because I was at my series finale, not series finale, but the series mid-season finale. And I was very disappointed with how it got there. I felt like I really didn't put any progression into the character relationships and things of that sort. I felt like it was very rushed, and I just was not very proud of the work. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, you get better as you progress and time goes on. So it's okay to not be happy with where your art was previously compared to it is now, which I do partially agree with. But I knew that my art was not only the problem with what I had with my series, it was also the writing and the dialogue, and it was just so many things that I felt like I could have done better and I could change better now that I had more experience with comics and things of that sort. So that was also the reason why I decided to change it. I also, if anybody wanted any advice as far as comics and things like that, I would heavily advise that instead of starting on your dream project or starting on something that you're gonna love and cherish and that's your baby and it's something you've been working on for years and things of that sort, I heavily recommend that you start with a baby project. And the reason why I suggest that is because I feel as though if you get the more experience that you have with doing whatever, the better that you're gonna get at it. So if we had more experience with knowing how to format comics, how to write a comic, how to write dialogue, getting the characters and all that stuff like that. Once you get the most experience that you feel like you can get out of it, then you can move on to your passion project. Tulips and Lilies has always been my passion project. So that was partially the reason it was kind of experimental with a lot of the beginning series and things that I did beforehand. But I was also partially burnt out. I mean, I was posting multiple times a week. And I mean, like, although like it got me to where I am, because I believe within those 2 years I was able to get 40,000 subscribers, which is a huge achievement to a lot of people in the webtoon space, because getting an audience is pretty hard depending on what genre that you're in, especially like for action comics. It's extremely hard to get an audience on webtoon. But I just was unhappy with how the progression of my comic was going, and I felt like I could do so much better, and I felt like it could be so much better. So I restarted my comic again, but then there was a lot of life things that happened. Like, I broke up with an ex, I had to move back home, I then got in another relationship and left home, and getting myself settled into adulthood, especially because I did Tulips and Lilies when I was 18, well, 17 going on 18, and now I'm 23. So it just, it was very, it was just very hard to put effort into something when you had so many things going on and so many distracting factors, especially like with life and work and trying to have a social life and, just anything really, as far as like any outside factors besides comics. But I was also kind of burnt out. My passion was also dying. I did like a contest in the midst of that, and I was very disappointed that I didn't win the contest, even though I look back at my art now and I'm like, I see why. but I take these lessons, and although, yes, I am upset that I'm not where I'm at now, as far like I'm not where I'm at as far as what I want my comic to be, I know that at least in 2025, I will be doing a lot of things different. I'll make sure that, I've done things to implement in my comic process now, like using models, 3D backgrounds to make things faster for me. I have an artist that helps me color. Very appreciative of Cass, and I've implemented a lot of other things that can help me make creating comics easier. Like, even when I was doing my comic back then, like, I had a Patreon, and I wasn't really keeping up with the Patreon as much as I wish I could have, because of the fact that I had so much going on. And I know, like, some people will be like, oh, you could stay up late and do that and all that stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's fine. But I'm one of those people that really value my sleep. So I like having sleep. I like feeling like I'm not dying in the morning, and I'm not a coffee person. So, it would just been, it's unfortunate that it ended up coming to that. And, especially me being somewhat self-deprecating, because I'm just thinking about the longevity of how long I've been doing comics, rather than like my improvement with how I've been doing my work and the changes that I've made and the improvements that I made. And it's a weird, I don't want to say self-deprecating. I just think I'm more consciously aware of how much energy and effort that I'm putting into things. So that may be the reason why I'm thinking about it more. But I just wanted to share my thoughts, because I know, like, my 5-year anniversary of doing webcomics had came up, and it got me really thinking, because, I'm here, and, we're on episode, 10 of Tulips and Lilies, and I wish I could do so much more. Like, I honestly do. I wish I could do so much more. Well, I can do so much more because I got fired from my job. But anyway, long story short, I have the opportunity to work on my comics full time, and I want to seize that opportunity as best as I can. And I just wanted to share my thoughts, because I don't think like a lot of people are very honest as far as like the webtoon industry, webcomic industry, and not a lot of people are really honest about, how they feel about their work, or they, or there's not really like a lot of thoughts being shared about the process, and, the burnout, the self-deprecation. Sometimes your passion may die in the midst of you doing it. But I mean, as long as, because I have the mentality of, I don't really care about ad revenue. So far, I believe on Webtoon, I've only made like $700 within those 5 years from ad revenue. But it's not like, it's honestly not even about the ad revenue. It's just more or less about making my story, putting it out there, and hoping that people enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, Tulips and Lilies is something that's extremely important to me. And like, especially Rose. Rose has been a character that I had since I was a child. And having people like enjoy her personality and enjoy the story and excitedly waiting for what's going to happen with the story next just makes me very proud of it. And previously, I just wasn't very proud of what I was putting out. I guess because I didn't have, not only just not having the skill, but I guess not having the time to really put as much effort as I really wanted to put in it. But I know for 2025, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be doing differently. Like I said, I've already implemented a lot of things, but I will work on one of my goals to upload more so that I can progress the story a bit more to where I would like to be. But anyways, that will be it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I am the creator of TNL, aka Tulips and Lilies. That will be on Webtoon. It is for free. I do not have a Patreon at the moment, but I will be working on something as that. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.